It is a corner chat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman and myself, Elsabe Tivinyani. In case you've missed on previous conversations, you can of course go to economist.com.na. There you will find everything in terms of the economy, what's happening in terms of businesses in the country. So you know what, just go to Google, type it in, and get everything that you want to know in terms of what is happening in Namibia and of course on the African continent. Mr. Daniel Steinman, just in case you have forgotten, he is the editor of Economist Namibia, and of course he is also an economist. Yeah, so Mr. Daniel Steinman, we have been talking about interim budget. You've given us some definitions, you've given us explanations on what interim budget is all about. You have gone into 2013, given us a history lesson, I should say.
As always.
And so we continue with more.
Elsabe, it's very important to realize when you want to say something sensible about the economy, that the economy does not happen in a vacuum. That's why I always go into these short little anecdotal history lessons.
Yeah.
Because the economy, there's a point where we come from, and there's a goal to which we are advancing.
Yeah.
And this is perhaps, it's very philosophical, but that is encapsulating what the economy is all about. We need to know where we come from to know where we are going. In terms of the huge amounts that goes through a budget. So let's look a little bit at the detail of the interim budget. The most important thing is that the revenue, the expected revenue, has increased by nearly 12%.
Okay.
We're looking at revenue, so the government's income of around 60 billion Namibia dollar, whereas in the main budget in March it was still 57. So there is a very substantial, well, like I said, almost 12% difference. On the expenditure side, it has grown by only 1.6%.
Okay.
After the virement, after the allocations.
Okay.
So this is what enabled the minister to take about 4 billion and slice it up into 10 million here, 50 million there, and reallocate it or add it to the previous allocation. So it means that the allocations for most ministries have been increased. So what is the first positive signal from this? To get extra money available, to allocate it to ministries where there is a need, we didn't need to go take it away from ministries that didn't use their full allocation. We got it from a bigger income. Remember? The revenue grew from about 57 billion to about 60 billion. And then there was substantial savings because the whole government is in savings mode since COVID. The whole country is in savings mode. I think when companies next year, when they look at the 2022-23 results and they see that they've actually made a profit, they're going to say, wow, now we don't need to save all the time anymore. We can actually start investing in the type of stuff that makes the business grow. And this is an example, is what I want to use for the government as well. What the minister has done is he's taken 4 billion Namibia dollars that he didn't need to go pilfer anywhere else. It's bigger income, and he's allocated that to some social sectors, to some of the grants for children, and he has allocated to various ministries, I would say about 3.8 billion to ministries where there is really a dire need, like works, for instance. We are building all these roads. Now, fortunately, we don't put the capital expense for any road construction project through the budget. We go borrow that money separately. But there's still a whole lot of expenses around a big project. Not physically, directly the project itself, but to make the thing come off the ground. You know, and we're not talking 1 million or 2
No,
million.
definitely not.
We're talking 20, 30, 40,
Yeah.
50 million for the big projects, you know. So certainly what I see from the interim budget is that there is a tangible respite. If you look at the budgets, remember in 2016 the budget was very much still growth oriented, and in September 2016 I said there's trouble coming, and everybody said you're talking nonsense. We are at the height of growth, and this was September, and less than 8 months later we were in serious trouble, in the middle of a recession, and we've never come out of that recession until the end of 2019, and in the beginning of 2020 when everything was looking up,
COVID hit
there's
us.
COVID. Another 3 years gone, frozen basically, with no tangible sign of any growth or any advancement.
Yeah.
And now this interim budget, very important, because here is the first clear signal that the government's finances are improving.
Okay. So, and that's how we ended, with good news, I guess. Mr. Daniel Steinman, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for telling us about interim budget. Now we can go and sit with our friends and family and have a discussion around what interim budget is. So until next week, from me, Elsie Bitungani, I say goodbye to you.